Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general mid-month reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of August. I hope you are well. We're using the Tarot of the Abyss today. So if you haven't seen these readings before, structure them slightly differently to the main monthly readings in so much as we are looking for the lesson. I think that there is a lesson or wisdom contained within every experience that we have if we are open to seeing it. And I've found over the years that it's much easier to navigate what can be potentially rather challenging energy if you can work out why you are there in the first place. So to that end, what I will do is pull 3 cards, see where you are right now, energetically speaking, and then we will pull a further 3 cards to see why you're there. Right? What is the lesson that's being taught to you? Now, sometimes it isn't a lesson. Sometimes it's about clearing things out of your life and making space for the new things to come in. You know, we won't know until the cards hit the table. But then we'll finish off with 3 cards of advice too. Now, before we go any further, I woke up on my birthday to an absolute torrent of messages on Instagram, which is rather unexpected. And I was like, how do all of these people know when my birthday is? And actually, none of them, well, a couple of the messages were about my birthday, but the overwhelming majority of them were from people saying, is this you? Now, you may be aware that there's some really heavy scamming going on that seems to be particularly affecting the tarot community at the moment. And some bright spark had set up a page that was very, very close to mine, stolen all of my pictures, and was then following people and sliding into their DMs and offering them readings because they had a message from the universe for them. Oh, God, sort this out. Right. So please only follow the accounts that I have listed in the description box, and I think that the Instagram, to be honest, is the only one. I don't have a Facebook page. I shut that down at the beginning of this year because I do not approve of Facebook and the way that they operate. I have a Twitter account, but I have more or less abandoned it now, so there's not really any point in following that. I am not doing personal readings at the moment for various reasons, and when I do, I will not be soliciting business by sliding into people's DMs, right? It'll all be done by the Acuity scheduler. You will book yourselves in, right? Just be aware, because I would hate for anybody to be scammed by this. It's an awful thing. So be aware, and thank you to all those people who did bring it to my attention, because obviously the first thing that account did was block me, and so I wasn't able to find it. I think enough of you reported it that it got taken down, but if it's happened once, it likely will happen again. So just be on guard for that. Right, now I've got that rather grubby business out of the way. Let's have a look and see what's going on with you, Taurus. 3 cards. Yes, please, current energy for Taurus. We have the Knight of Wands. We have whatever that was down there. 8 of Cups. Ooh, I like this energy, Taurus. Let me shut that properly. I thought I was about to have some peace. They're digging up roads and knocking down houses, and like everybody's doing everything at once, and it's just really, really loud, and it has been for weeks. There was just a moment of silence when I started the video, and I was like, could it be? No. No, not at all. One more card for Taurus, please. Thank you. The Hierophant, or the Wise One, as it is in this deck here. This is cool. So we have the Page of Swords at the bottom of the deck, and I like this for you because it does talk about mental expansion. And Taurus, it feels like there's something kind of discreet yet kind of life-changing going on for you at the moment. That's the best way that I can describe what I'm feeling here, because I feel you being drawn to something, right? And whether that is to your own personal wisdom or you know, maybe the synchronicities are off the chart for you at the moment, right? That's highly possible. But there's something about the way that you are presenting right now. This Knight of Wands is very much giving us an insight into this very, very present, incredibly present. And it's almost a little bit like the way that you are structuring your life at the moment, the things that you are paying attention to, and the ways in which you are moving to your goal are shifting. And it started imperceptibly at first, but it's kind of, it feels a lot like it's gaining momentum, Taurus. The Knight of Wands energy is always about the here and now. In fact, the whole Wand suit is about the here and now. And the Knight of Wands is kind of the epitome of that. And he has lots of negative connotations, but like every card in the tarot, there are positive connotations too. And rather than it being a lack of commitment, you know, and even if I thought that that might have been a thing that's completely, you know, outweighed by the presence of the Hierophant on the other side here, all the whites on as it appears in this deck. No, it's far more a presence of mind and a presence of spirit. Now, what I'm kind of trying to feel my way around here, and I hope that I'm expressing this well, is that for a lot of Tauruses, you spent a lot of time in the past, okay? And then repeating cycles and then being traumatized because those cycles, no matter how hard you worked, always resulted in the same conclusion, which was that you would be disappointed with, you know, a situation or someone's behavior, and then you would internalize it and you would decide it was your fault, and then you would resolve to work harder, be a better friend, be a better partner, all that kind of thing. Taking on far too much responsibility for yourself. And the thing is, with all of that in operation within your spirit at that time, the way that you plan for the future, the way that you structured the things in the future, honestly, I think at some points it felt like you were going to be stuck in this limitless cycle of increasing effort, increasing work. Like, you kind of hoped that at some point there would be enough, that what you did was enough, but it never quite seemed to be that way. So it was just like, I'm always going to have to find it within myself to work harder and be stronger and all these kind of things. And I feel like the work that you've been doing on yourself, Taurus, like I said, it's been instituting these like changes that, like I said, were imperceptible at first, but now you are starting to see them, and it's changing everything. There's a fluidity around you at the moment, Taurus, which is nice. It's a bend not break kind of thing. You know, you're fixed earth, so very much solid, but there's more of a this going on now. And because you've been doing your work, and you have been doing your work for a long time now, it feels like you are starting to rewrite your understanding of your own history, and the ripples from that are now changing the present, and by absolute definition changing the future too. So this shift in the way that you are planning for the future, perhaps there's a bit more flexibility built into it, but I feel like it's a lot less dependent on what is going on outside of you. The people, the characters that are forming part of the future story, they're becoming less important. Their judgment, for sure, is becoming less important, but their input too. And there's more of there's this fluidity coming in, which feels very comfortable to you, and that's the important thing. It's feeling comfortable. It's not feeling like you are out of your depth in any particular way. No, this is cool. This is how Taurus rides now. And we have the Eight of Cups here. And I think this is important because, like I said, these shifts that are occurring feel simultaneously very discreet and also very profound at the same time, because the Eight of Cups deals with these notions of how we leave things behind emotionally. Now, we can walk away from any given situation and go, no, fuck you, I've had enough of this, right? That's it, I'm gone. But if we are still stuck in a mindset where we are perpetuating cycles and we're not seeing that deeper wisdom that is contained within the fact that this was a huge flag for us to look at, then we kind of doom ourselves to repeat the same thing. So you're not doing that anymore, Taurus, not at all. But there's an incredible amount of work that's been undergone by you in the last 18 months. But this feels like there's something really deep starting to shake loose now. And there's something very liberating in it. I love the fact that this woman is walking away from this house here, and she's leaving 7 cups in front of the house. Let me show you the card. Now, the 7 of Cups is all to do with illusion, like emotional confusion often too, right? And the house is a symbol of the self. It's this old version of you that doesn't exist anymore. This old version of you that was perhaps characterized by this feeling of confusion that surrounds you all the time. Like, why do people do the things that they do? Why do they behave like that? Why? And then, you know, more than that, how do I always end up getting caught up in these kind of situations? You know, that sort of feeling. Like, what it feels like is that you understand that you have outgrown the house that you built for yourself. One that you've been working on since childhood, actually. And I'm looking at it, it's starting to look a little bit rickety, and it's like, well, actually, do you know what? Home is really important for me. Whether it is the 4 walls that I live in, or whether it is literally the body that I occupy, or whether it is that sense of home that exists outside of my body and outside of time and outside of space, you know? It's time for me to go and find something that is a little bit more fitting, you know? And so she's walking away, and she's just tipping out the last of the emotion that is connecting her to this old rickety house that isn't right for her anymore. I mean, look at her, she looks like an absolute queen. Look at her. Even the expression on her face was just like, fuck this shit. I like this woman. I would be friends with this woman. And she's not looking back. This is important too. There's no sense of loss associated with that which she is tipping away. She knows that it's no good, right? Has that wine been sat on the table for 3 weeks and it's got flies in it and all sorts, just like, no, not doing this. And she's headed off to something else. And what I really, really love is at the end of this, we have the Hierophant. Now, you know, I've told you before that I'm not a big fan of the Hierophant card. I think there are huge patriarchal overtones, and there's a rigidity and inflexibility that is often very present in that energy, and an absolute resistance to change, right? But again, like all cards in the tarot, there are positive and negative, you know, depending on the reader you come to, they will extricate different versions of both. I love this. Look at her. She's sat there in front of that fire, and there is wisdom there being imparted to others. Now, we've discussed before about how Taurus makes an absolutely natural teacher to those who are ready to listen, and that's been part of the journey for you as well, because when you learn something, when you are really pulled in a direction and you understand suddenly the point of everything and where you're going, it's like the whole world opens up to you. And the first thing that Taurus wants to do as a collective creature is share that with other people. Give them a way to improve their own lives, as you have done the heavy lifting already. I've worked it out, it's brilliant. But what you found is that there is resistance, that other people are not anywhere near your point, you know, and you may feel that these are people who are right in your, you know, your collective right now. It doesn't matter how much you try and show them. You go, look, I've done all the heavy lifting, I've done all the strong work, like I've knocked this down. This is the path. They go, I'll go and do something over there, and it's quite exasperating. But there's a peace coming with it here, because Taurus, there are those people out there who are ready to listen to the wisdom that you hold. There are people out there who are ready to accept and trust, in fact, that you know what you are talking about. And those people are coming to you, it feels like they are making themselves known to you. And equally, you are working out that those people will come to you. You don't have to go out into the world in search of people who, you know, require the benefit of your wisdom. You don't have to share this wisdom with every Tom, Dick and Harry that crosses your path. There's a settling back. And I just go, I'm going to be here by the campfire, and whoever needs to hear what I have to say will come to me and they will hear it. Because I've seen something really beautiful. I've put something really, really beautiful together. And the sense of lightness of step, which I'm feeling around you at the moment, for such a big animal, you can be very, very delicate. You can tread very carefully. But instead of it being a fear of taking up space, which is what it was before, right? You've had a lot of practice at walking delicately across things. Now, it's a treading lightly, which is coming from a place of wisdom. It's coming from a place of acceptance. It's coming from a place of knowing that some people just aren't ready to hear what you say. Somebody in one of the comments on the Taurus videos in the last, I don't know, it might have been the August ones, said Taurus makes very, very good teachers and not everybody makes a good student. And that's a good point, and it's well observed. But equally, I think Taurus is learning to become a better teacher. You know, you only have to look at our school system. You look at any given class in the UK, and the class sizes are a minimum of 30. And you got 35-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds in a class, and some of those will want to sit and they will want to learn and they will want to be taught. A lot of them will not. A lot of them will want to be running around. A lot of them will want to be, doing something creative with their hands. They don't want to listen to the teacher teaching them about abstract things that don't really mean anything to them. It's probably 5 is a bit young for that, but you can see it up through the age and even into teenage years too. The best students are the ones who are interested, right? Who turn up and are interested. The best teachers are the ones who know how to shape the experience that the child is having in front of them in such a way as to get their attention, as to spark their interest. We've all got a memory of one teacher who really did that for us, and whether it was just through the way that they taught or the fact that they, their personality, or just the way they interacted with you, there's always that one special teacher who really did it. For me, it was Mrs. Spray, who was my French teacher. She was awesome. Sarcasm like you have never heard before, but she was a good woman. Loved her to bits. Anywho, the important thing is that it's all coming very comfortably for you now, Taurus. Now let's have a look and see why you are here. Tell me why Taurus is in this energy right now, please. We have the 2 of Pentacles. We have the Ace of Pentacles for Taurus. And we have the 10 of Pentacles. We have the Knight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. That's Virgo energy there. Interestingly, at the end of August, we will be, well, not even the end really, on the 21st, 22nd, we will be moving into Virgo season. And maybe this is a nod to the timeline that you are following at this point. But actually, I feel like with this Empress sat behind it, and the Strength card as well, and the Temperance card, and the Moon, and the 9 of Pentacles. Holy shit, Taurus. I said there was a lot going on under the surface here, and there really is. Like, for me, this Knight of Pentacles is understanding truly what is important. It is understanding that your path doesn't necessarily involve lots and lots of other people, but where there are people that leave, there will be new people that come in. Like, that's coming through really, really strong. But you're taking control only of those things that it is right for you to control, and that is, well, you and your own emotions, really. The Strength card and the Temperance card and the Moon card, all testaments to how much you have grown. How familiar with your inner space you are becoming now, where it was something that was quite chaotic and fraught with well, danger at points. There were bits of your internal space that were really, truly terrifying. You've grown and evolved to such a point now where that fear is replaced with a resolve to go heal those things that scare you. And now with this Nine of Pentacles, you're rocking a very, very self-contained vibe. There's a benefit in the collective. There's always a benefit in the collective, and particularly when you are what is considered to be a naturally herd creature. Right? Cows like to move in herds, and they like to have the bulls there too to protect them, But there's no fear here in you walking your own path. And the collective or the herd that you have around you at any given point, nowhere is it written in stone that needs to be the one that will still surround you in 5 years' time, And you're comfortable with that. You're becoming comfortable with yourself, Taurus, and that's such a huge step forward from where you were. Now, the reason that you are in this energy is interesting, because we've got no major arcana here, but we don't need it, because you are the major arcana that we're rocking, right? Along with the growth and the strength and the ability to control yourself, your thought processes and all that sort of thing. But we've got the Two of Pentacles, and then the Ace of Pentacles, and then the Ten of Pentacles. And this feels to me like you are in a process of refreshing the way that you see the world, the way that you think, the way that you view yourself, the way that you view other people, the way that you consider it appropriate for you to interact with other people, right? All of this stuff is what you have been working on. And you're bringing a balance to it, right? The Two of Pentacles is often talking about, you juggling and balancing and trying to keep on top of all sorts of things. And I said the Two of Pentacles for me is the card that actually varies the most in its depiction across all the decks that I have, and I have an unforgivably large amount of tarot decks, right? I'm going to share that with you. This one is always slightly different, and it's always got a different kind of tone to it. The interesting thing is, here we have not one person juggling two pentacles, but two people with a pentacle apiece. And I think that this is extraordinary for you, because what it says to me is that you are not heavy lifting anymore. Like, this is why you're in the energy that you're in at the moment, right? It's the understanding that you don't have to, just because you are strong, do all the heavy lifting all the time for everybody that is around you. In fact, you can be with people and be effectively back to back with people, which is, it's actually kind of a vulnerable position to be in, back to back, because there's a trust that this other person is going to turn around and just stick a knife right between your shoulder blades, right? So you can be back to back in that trust. You don't have to be all up in what everybody else is doing. You don't need them to be all up in what you are doing. But within this collective, this difference in the way that you are doing things now, you've all got your own pentacles. You all understand the value of your own pentacles. So whether that is your time or your care or your money or your effort or your love or whatever it is that you are capable of investing, it's almost like you all know you can do your own thing back to back with those people who are also doing their own thing. And when necessary, you can all turn around and go, I actually need a bit of help with this pentacle. Is there anybody available who could come and give me a hand with it? And there'll be someone like, yeah, I'll come over here. And equally, at some point, I'm struggling a little bit with this pentacle. Has anybody got any ideas? And you'd be like, yes, because I'm fucking Taurus and I know how to plant pentacles right there. And this is really, really important for really, how many times can I say really in a sentence? For healthy, functioning relationships moving forward, the sort that really bring value to your life, and they don't bring anxiety, they don't bring worry, they don't bring concern, they don't bring this this predisposition that belonged to you in a previous cycle of overthinking and internalization, because you are starting something new, Taurus. Now, whether this is literally starting something new, you're getting a new job, you're moving house, you've moved into a new area and you're looking to meet people, whatever it is, or whether it is something altogether bigger than that. And for you, Taurus, I do think it's bigger than that. It is an establishment of that which you have consolidated over the last 18 months. A lot of information has worked its way through you, Taurus. It feels like you're now ready to face the next stage, right? Where, you know, what pentacle am I planting now? What am I going to do now? I am going to do this thing, okay? And I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to commit to it. This is a new course of action. This is a new direction for my life. Now, even if you are still doing the same job and you're still living in the same house, it feels like there is a difference in the way that you are going about these things. Like I said right at the beginning, right? It feels like there's a shift in the way that you are building for the future now. And that was before these cards came out. And this is what these cards are saying to me. The things that you're looking to bring into your life are slightly different. It may well have all of the other things that Taurus naturally as a sign likes to have, so that, you know, stability and security and things like that. But because you are rocking most of that inside you now, it's what's allowed this fluidity to come in, right? You haven't had to set yourself a plan, whether it's a 5-year, 10-year plan, whatever, and desperately kind of work as hard as you possibly can, and then have all of these, you know, confusing emotional relationships around you which kind of leave you discombobulated all the time. It's like, no, you know, there's a simplicity to it, Taurus. But things don't seem quite so complicated as they were before, and maybe they never were that complicated. It was the way that you were seeing the situation, but it feels like a big clearing out. And so, I mean, I'm here for this all day. I like this a lot because those bits of you that are so commendable, those bits of you that are really the shining light of Taurian energy, are still present. But they're present with adjustments now, healthy adjustments. And where you are putting your energy now feels like places where that energy should be put. You know, I love this depiction of the Ace of Pentacles here, because we've got this fruit, and it may or may not be an apple, I'm not sure, but there's a star cut out of it. And one assumes that what's happened here is that from this apples, this person's taken these seeds and they've planted them in the ground. And there's a glorious apple tree that's come up as a result, but notice the trunk. That's you, Taurus. You know, you are abundant. Everything springs from you. You've taken the seed, or you are taking the seed, you're about to take it, put it in the ground, and everything that you are goes into feeding that tree. It becomes you and that tree. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles. We have commitment. We have legacy. We have you being able to provide, not only for yourself, but for those others that depend on you. But it feels so fulfilling, Taurus. That's the thing. It's fulfilling and simple and fluid. Oh. You know, you've engaged in a massive clearing out exercise in the last 18 months, and I think it's surprised you by how much space there is now. And it's kind of like a clappy energy, like, ooh, what shall I plant now? You know, I've got all of this space, all of this potential, and I can pick and choose what I'm going to plant this time, rather than constantly firefighting the weeds that are coming through. I'm a fucking Japanese knotweed just invading the garden everywhere. It's just like, it's been nuked. It's all gone. Not nuked, maybe, because that's not a good environment to be growing plants, but you know what I mean. This is really positive, Taurus. Let's get you some cards of advice. Not that I really feel like you need any at this point. It's a bit of a redundant thing to do, but get some cards of advice for Taurus, please. Thank you. We'll have the World card. Thank you. We have the Death card. Holy shit. And we have the Eight of Swords. Yeah, like, The meaning really is, I can't remember what came up in your last couple of readings, but even not knowing, I feel like there's a strand here that I can pick up, and it's like a continuation. It feels like there's a continuation here, like let things end that are trying to end, because they don't form part of this new chapter. They very much belong to the old cycle. Like, and be aware of the scale of the revolution that has gone on within you. Right? Don't downplay this to yourself. Because in all the ways that matter, in all the ways that are important, you are reborn. And you have liberated yourself from this. You know, if ever you want to sort of check in with yourself, maybe go back over old diaries and just see where you were 2 years ago. You are the only sign where I feel relatively comfortable in suggesting that you may keep a diary, because like every Taurus I've ever met, like really incredible note takers, and I feel like you apply this to your own lives too. I mean, go back and have a look at how mentally restricted you were in the past. Because I feel, if nothing else, you need to give yourself credit where credit is due. You need to give yourself a pat on the back. And where it might have been a little while ago a little uncomfortable to revisit a past mindset, I think that it would be really valuable to you now. I don't think that you have the same emotional connection to that mindset anymore. Too much has changed within you. Pull another card for this. Eight of Swords. Tell me about this Eight of Swords. I've got the Two of Pentacles and the King of Swords. Yeah, with the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck. You have absolutely burst out of this. You know, there's no movement with the Eight of Swords. It's restrictive by definition. But here we have, through careful work, it's that Two of Pentacles again. Careful application of, you know, principles to yourself, whatever it is. You've come to a point where you are now the King of Swords, okay? Which is an infinitely preferable position to be sat in over the Eight of Swords, because the King of Swords has that logic, that acuity. He's got good judgment, really good judgment. And I feel like you can trust your judgment in a way that you didn't feel like you could 2 years ago. And that makes a huge difference to the confidence with which one shows up in the world. If you really do feel like you can trust your judgment in any given situation, like that in and of itself is a massive, massive shift for you. But we know to get to the position of the King of Swords, that whole journey through the sword suit, which is necessarily very challenging and very painful, has been completed by the King of Swords, and he's taken all of the wisdom from that. And one would assume at this point on, there is no likelihood of him falling into Eight of Swords energy, Nine of Swords energy, like he can catch himself beforehand and go, no, I'm going to make a judgment that takes me in a different direction, you know. It's brilliant, Taurus. It's really, really good. Whatever you are doing, continue to do it, because you're excellent, and because the world needs you. Right, I'm going to go. I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very, very much. Always here for my board game. Take care, and I'll see you soon.